Returning to the wildfires in California, more than 11,000 homes have been torched since the Camp Fire broke out in the northern part of the state. Officials say it may take until the end of the month before the fire is fully contained. In addition to the devastation and loss of life, residents are dealing with heavily polluted air as well. As William Brangham reports, firefighters made significant progress this weekend.
It's been 11 days since the so-called Camp Fire ignited.
Like hell on earth, honestly. It's been crazy.
Through the weekend, some 5,000 firefighters secured containment lines around 2/3 of the blaze. The fire itself is roughly the size of the city of Chicago.
Dangers is our footing right now, having our escape routes and safety zones identified, making sure our lookouts are available so they can see if we have any issues come up with spot fires.
President Trump got a first-hand look on Saturday, joined by Governor Jerry Brown and Governor-elect Gavin Newsom. Now, fire crews are hoping that rain, which is expected to come in the next few days, will bring more relief. But that forecast also adds urgency for the search teams looking amid the ashes for the hundreds of people still listed as missing. They fear the rains could turn all that ash into mud and possibly trigger landslides. But rain could also help clear the air of the dangerous levels of pollution caused by the fire. In San Francisco this weekend, people wore face masks and smoke and smog obscured the Bay Bridge.
It's pretty uncomfortable. I mean, it's definitely causing, shortness of breath.
Meanwhile, hundreds of evacuees who sought shelter last week at a Walmart parking lot in Chico are being urged to relocate quickly. Officials say several inches of rain could flood their makeshift camp. The search for the missing, of course, is a daunting one. Nearly 1,000 people from the Camp Fire are still unaccounted for. Officials believe this number will get smaller as duplicates are spotted and those who have been found are removed from the list. But the fire is already the deadliest in the state's history, and many fear the final toll will grow. California State Assemblyman Jim Wood is also a forensic dentist who's helping to identify victims using dental remains. He's volunteered and done some similar forensic work after 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, and after the fires in Northern California last year. Dr. Wood, thank you very much for being here. I wonder if you could just start off by helping us understand a little bit about what forensic dentistry in a circumstance like this, what it actually does. What do you do?
Well, for us in doing forensic dentistry, it's an opportunity to take the records of a person who has died in one of these incidents, compare them to before death records, and match them up and hopefully identify them. It's a laborious process at times, but it's very effective, and it's been used in many, many mass disasters throughout the last 100 years.
So searchers in the towns of Paradise and elsewhere go through burnt homes and burnt structures and try to find teeth and dental remains, and then they bring them to you, and then what happens at that point?
Essentially, you're right. Search and rescue teams are out there. When they find what they suspect to be human remains, they bring a coroner's team in. They sometimes have with them an anthropologist. They gather the remains. All the remains are actually being taken to Sacramento, to the morgue in Sacramento, which is a much larger facility than what they have in Butte County, where it is examined by pathologists, the forensic dentists. We document the dental evidence, and then in the background, we're working to gather the dental records to be able to make a comparison.
And I take it in some of these communities that's difficult too, because the very dentists' offices themselves, where many of these people might have gone, might have been destroyed as well.
Yes, more than half of the dentists in the city of Paradise, for example, their offices are gone. And so we're relying on those dentists who did lose their offices. Many of them have electronic dental records that have been uploaded to the cloud or backed up to servers off-site. So we're relying on them to get us what they can, but those offices that were burned were completely destroyed, and there really is no usable evidence from there.
I understand you were saying that you work largely in the morgue in Sacramento. Have you been physically able to see the towns of Paradise or what these environments actually look like?
Yes, I was in Paradise on Wednesday and Thursday, and I will tell you from my experience in the wine country fires, it prepared me for what I might see, but I was simply overwhelmed by the devastation there. It's far greater than what we experienced in Sonoma County. The breadth of it is enormous.
And I understand that the rain is forecast to come later this week, which obviously for the fires and for the air quality will be a huge relief. Could that complicate the search efforts, though?
It actually could, and this is a little bit unprecedented for us. In the fires we had before, it was earlier in the year. We were able to recover remains earlier. It wasn't an issue. But if these rains are hard, it could have a real problem. We could have a real problem recovering remains. Things could be moved. Things could be washed away. And there's really no way to contain all of this at this point. So it is a bit of a race against time. And the hope is that maybe the rains just aren't as heavy and we don't have that much of an impact.
We saw this missing list is now somewhere the high 900s, and I understand there's duplicates in there. I understand that there are probably people who are safe and sound who just haven't alerted the authorities. But is it your sense that even if there's a certain percentage of that list that really do turn out to be fatalities, we're talking about hundreds of people that still could have lost their lives?
We are, and I think what's really staggering about this is we simply really don't know. By now, you would have thought that a lot of the people that were truly going to be accounted for would have checked in, but we're not seeing that, and that's a little disturbing. Indeed, the numbers are dropping, but I'm really surprised that we haven't been able to make this list smaller, and that's very concerning.
Obviously, the work that you're doing is hugely important for the families who just would like some sense of knowing what has happened to their loved one or their family member. I'm just curious, how are you and your colleagues doing? You've been at this for, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 days now. How are you guys holding up?
We're holding up fine. We really are struggling to get records, and I'm just convinced once we have more records, we'll be able to make more identifications. The conditions of the remains are consistent with what I've seen in the past, and some are in better condition than others. But as in anybody, there's a little bit of tension that builds up there, and we just feel like we could be doing more, and we're just kind of stuck waiting for records.
All right, Dr. Jim Wood, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.